Today, we are talking about an age-old question that is, which came first, the chicken or the egg? And we are diving into this, looking at it from a viewpoint of clients. One of the number one things that we hear inside of our industry when people, salon owners, are looking for help, one of the biggest things that we hear all the time is, I need more clients. And so today, we are going to be diving into which came first, the clients or the process that serves them, and really diving into see like which was it that came first and what is it that we should be focusing on as salon owners inside of our companies next.
Yes, I love that you said that, Lynn, because I was just actually in a growth session with the service provider, and the same thing, like, I just need more new clients. I just need more new clients. I'm like, okay, let's pump the brakes. Let's take a look at your retention because that's going to paint us a story about your guest experience. And then we'll know if you truly need new clients or we just need to elevate the experience that you're already doing with the clients that you have. And so it's a really big awakening for that service provider to be like, oh my gosh, yes, I didn't realize I was missing some of the sales process that we have in place, which we're going to talk about today to really help elevate my income without actually having to see new clients.
Yes. And I think, it's kind of a shocking statistic when you know that only 25% of new guests are retained when they visit a salon company for the first time. 25%. So that means two out of every 10 new guests that come into your salon are most likely sticking around. And, so hey, that means you got 10 new clients at some point, but you only kept two of them. And so it's a really great metric to really pay a lot of attention to. And it's a really great thing, like you just mentioned, Jen, to talk about during those growth sessions with a service provider so that you can come up with those strategies to really elevate the experience it is that they are creating. And so I'm excited too to dive into this sales process today too, to see kind of what it is that you can uncover, that might be holding you back from maybe taking that two and making it a four or making it a five or six, or ideally we would all love to keep 10 out of every 10 new guests that we see. But what this can really do for our numbers is huge inside of a salon, and it boosts morale. It just makes life so much easier. So I'm excited to dive into this topic today.
Yeah, awesome. So let's talk about the sales process. So if you have a sales process in your salon, you're probably following along, but like a sales process, if you know the word process, it's a series of steps with an expected outcome. So a lot of times we don't have a sales process. We're missing some elements in the sales process. Our service providers actually create their own process. And so that's why it's really a huge opportunity to get crystal clear about, hey, this is what our sales process looks like. It's non-negotiable, and this will help us with all aspects of the business, with growing average ticket, with increasing retention, with new guest retention, like retail sales, all of that, because the sales process helps the service provider to know, okay, this is step one, this is step two, this is step three, this is step four, and it helps to lower their resistance to, oh my gosh, what do I do next? What's the next step? What's missing? And so we're going to go over that today so that, at the end of the day, you'll know which comes first, the chicken or the egg.
Yes, I love that, Jen. And, really even just thinking about like, hey, we're just trying to create an environment where people want to buy. And that's truly what the sales process does, is it helps aid in the creation of the environment where people want to buy. So we're never going to be convincing anyone to buy anything that they don't want or need. This is just an idea of how do we create that environment to where it is that people want to buy, they want to spend their time, they want to come back to. And so when you're crystal clear about what your sales process is, and like Jen mentioned, it's non-negotiable, that's when you really start to see those numbers increase, because, again, we never want to get, really super connected to the outcome of whether they buy or don't buy. We really want to get connected to what is the environment that we're trying to create so that people do feel like they really want to purchase more things. And if we notice, hey, our numbers are low in a certain area, maybe they're low in our rebooking, or maybe they're low in our retail, or whatever that is, then we can look at like, how do we influence that environment to make it even better? So let's go ahead and dive in and take a look at what are all of the environments that it is that we're trying to create during this sales process.
Awesome. So your first step is going to be the welcome. step. And so this is where you want to get crystal clear about like, what does the greeting look like when someone enters your salon? Is there a uniform branded saying that you say, or exactly what does it look like? Where does the guest go? What does the client or guest, what does the client do? What does the client see next? And so you want to have this process like actually written out. And you'll start to pay attention as you go into businesses too, is like when you walk into a space, like, oh, I really love this, or this isn't resonating with me. And so we're like really working with your team. Is it like, do you say welcome back when a guest comes in? Do you say, how's your day going? Whatever it may be, you just want to make sure that it's streamlined and that it's uniform so that somebody feels that warm greeting. Because, someone said to me the other day, they said, I learned this from a mentor. They were like, a lot of times we're trying to be like different, we're trying to stand out. But really, at the end of the day, it's not always about being different. It's about making that connection. And so when you have that great welcome entrance, it really helps to create that connection between the salon and the clients.
I love that, Jen, because when you are able to create that connection, that does just wow people for sure, and I think we've all had a good or a bad experience with a welcome when we've gone in somewhere. And, I think not to pick on nail salons, but, they can kind of come with, just some, a typical experience could be you walk in and they just say, pick out your color or whatever it is. And you're like, well, I'm actually here to get a gift card. Can I do that? It does not create the environment where you want to buy, and, or they are like, do you have an appointment? And you're like, well, no, can I just walk in, And so just really, being cognizant, like when you have that experience versus the opposite, where someone, like you mentioned, is just trying to get connected right away. Wow, the difference is just incredible. So once you nail that welcome and you're crystal clear on what that looks like for your salon company, the next thing that you want to really think about the environment is the tour. So, anytime somebody new comes into your space, you really want to, set the stage for making their experience comfortable. It doesn't matter if you are in a 200 square foot space or a 20,000 square foot space. You want to make sure that that new client, understands kind of what's going on and what's in it for them. So, an old school tour would have been all about showcasing you and who you are and who the salon company is. But now what matters most is helping make that guest, that client feel comfortable. And it's just going to set the stage for their whole experience. So you want to show them around your salon space. You want to point out like, hey, this is our, volume and lengthening wall. If you have ever, thought that you might enjoy more volume or length in your hair, this is a great thing that we could, kind of dive into during your experience with us today. Show them the amenities, let them know if you have like chargers or medicine or, anything to make their experience better. And let them know how they can get that, where it's either located or who to ask. Introduce them to a couple of people on the team. Let them know, hey, things are a little different here. You're going to notice we do work together as a team, And so I think pointing out a few things like that really helps lower people's resistance when they come into the space. Because, that's the hardest thing, is coming into the space for the first time. And once they already start to feel relaxed, then they're going to be more likely to take on the information that you're trying to help them with when it comes to solving their hair, skin, nail, whatever problems it is that they might be experiencing that you're trying to help them elevate. So get them really acclimated to this space during that tour so that you can create an awesome environment for them.
Yeah, awesome. And so the next step of the process is actually going to be the consultation. And I think this one, they're all really huge. This one really stands out to me because, like, clients sit in the chair and they look around the salon and they see maybe stylist or service provider A, like asking a lot of questions, giving a great consultation. And then their experience is like, wow, my service provider asked me one question and got started right away. And so you want to have some kind of uniform, like maybe it's 2 or 3 questions that's asked during every consultation, and maybe those change monthly so that you can really find out what's most important to the client. Like, what can we really help you with today? What are your biggest challenges so that we can make you an offer? Someone says, like, an offer you don't make is one they can't take, but it's hard to create an offer if you don't even know their greatest challenges. And so, like, really diving into your consultation process and making sure that the team is clear about, hey, what's most important to learn from the client.
I love that. And, once you've nailed that consultation, the next step would be diagnosis, and this is where you really want to provide a clear diagnosis based on your consultation and start to offer those solutions. And so what this is going to do is it's going to build confidence in your expertise and show that you understand their needs. And so, really during this diagnosis phase, this is where you really, want to view yourself as a hair doctor or a skin doctor or whatever that is. Like, they are coming to you because they want solutions. So imagine if you went to your doctor and you said, like, hey, I've been experiencing headaches and backaches and, whatever ailments. And your doctor was like, okay, cool. Let's go ahead and get started. Have you been watching any TV shows lately? And you're like, wait, what? Like, did you hear what I just said? And so really making sure that you are super present during that consultation so that when you get to that diagnosis, you're able to give them a clear diagnosis and help offer solutions. And really taking it seriously, starting to kind of build out like, hey, with that diagnosis, like, here's some of the products that we're going to be, talking about that can really elevate your overall look. You mentioned frizz was one of your biggest hair concerns. And so, we do have a few permanent solutions and then we have some daily solutions as well. And so we'll go over some of those daily solutions during your styling process today. But I did just want to let you know, hey, we offer XYZ solution, that you could do once or twice a year based on your particular needs that would also help aid in your frizz. So just creating those offerings so that people know that it's available. I think, one of the biggest problems with diagnosis is that not enough people provide enough solutions to people because they really get stuck in their head about, well, this costs money. Well, yeah, everything in the world costs money. And just because like you're preventing them, just because you're, not telling them about the solution doesn't prevent them from buying it. It's not your job to worry about anybody's financial situation. It's, your position to offer them a solution and then let them decide what it is that they want to address most.
Mm, yeah, I love that. So after the diagnosis is going to come a step 5, which is the actual service. And so this is where you want to pay really close attention to detail. Like what are the connection points that you're making with the client during this time? Maybe it's does everyone use hot towels? Maybe there's a certain neck massage that you perform or a makeup touch up at the end of the service. And so the more consistent you can be with every service provider, the greater outcome of you will have. And so like, it's so crazy is like sometimes somebody will see one service provider and maybe you've seen this or experienced this. They'll see one service provider and they're like blown away because they got a neck massage, they got a makeup touch up, and they see another service provider and they didn't get any of that. And what happens in that moment, it breaks trust with the entire salon company. And so really, talking to your team about like, what are your non-negotiables when it comes to service standards and like, how can we really make clients feel pampered and well taken care of at the end of the day?
I love that, Jen. That definitely would create a lot more trust. And that next step after you've nailed the service is the prescription stage. And so this is where you recommend the right products or services, to maintain their look at home. And so, this is truly what matters. Like, yes, you can give them an amazing style on the day of their visit, but if they don't understand how to maintain it until their next visit, they're not going to love their look as much. And so making sure that you gather the products to have them easily accessible for them to take home with them, and then explain how to use each one properly, because sometimes we forget, we know, to get the best results, how to hold the can away from the head, but the guest might not know that. We know how much product to use, how often to use it. So really going into those details during the prescription stage is huge so that they feel empowered when they get home to recreate their look, whether it's their hair, it's maintaining their skin, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Awesome. And then I love that. And the next step of that is going to be maintaining results. So this is where you really want to create security in your business. And so what that means is making sure that the guest knows when they need to come back. If the guest is calling saying, yeah, I think it's been 6 weeks, it's time for me to come back in, that's a fail. Like we want to be able to educate that client to know, hey, to maintain your look or on this hair journey or the skin journey, this is what needs to happen. I think it really helps to create consistency And it helps to build long-term relationships as well. Because, like, let's say you have 100 hours in your salon company to sell for the month and your pre-book is only 30%. Well, that means probably the next month you're going to have to fill 70% of the hours. So if you had 100 hours, that'd be like 70 hours you're trying to find clients for. And so there's so much impact in creating that long-term relationship, because when clients do reserve their next visit, it shows loyalty. It shows, a brand that's really creating a space for loyal clients. Like, think about Apple. Like, people are in line to get the newest, latest, greatest technology. Like, we want to create that same experience in our salon, so they're always coming back wanting something new.
I love that. And, the next phase then would be the checkout process. And so we love to use the love checkout process, where, the L stands for listen, ask them what was the best part about your service today, or about your experience today, sorry. And, just listen to what their experience was like, because that can really help, especially if they're like, I just loved that you greeted me with my favorite drink already. Like, knowing what stands out to people can help take your great team and make them even more excellent. And so listen, then, offer products. So go over the products, make sure that they, are taking the prescription home that they need to. Verify their next appointment with them is the V. So getting that next reservation set up, and then exchange of, money and gratitude at the end, and making sure they know, hey, if there's loyalty points involved, they received those, and just that you're grateful that they chose you. So that when you go through that love checkout, it just makes it beautiful every time, and they know what to expect.
I love me some love checkout. Awesome. All right. And so the next step is going to be the follow up. And so this is where you really want to have a system where, like, if it's a new client, like, that you're doing maybe a follow up call with the script to make sure that their experience was exactly as they expected. This is also a huge opportunity for like a 30, 60, 90, 180-day plan. Like, if the client hasn't been in 60 or 90 or 180 days, however many days it may be, like, you have like a email blast that you send, or a way to communicate with them, or still help them see the value, so that in turn that helps them be like, oh yeah, I haven't been into salon ABC lately, it's time for me to get back in there. So you want to have that system laid out, and you can automate that system a lot of times so that you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah, so good. And you might be thinking, wow, all of this is amazing. What next? Well, the next thing is this is the beginning of the process for you. So you get to, work together to implement that 9-step process. And when you have that sales process really nailed down and everybody knows the agreement to win, that's when people can start winning. It's just when there's confusion about, like, how do we do this? How do we do that? What do I say? That's where everybody makes up their own. They do their own greetings, they do their own servicing, they do their own prescribing. And so when you get really crystal clear and share that vision with everyone on your team, then during huddles and salon celebrations and things like that, you can work on implementing those and elevating them over time.
Yeah, awesome. I'm shaking my head over there. I'm like, yeah, this is good. This is good. So, just to reinforce what we talked about today, it's not just about getting more clients. It's about serving the ones you have with excellence. And so, if you loved this podcast, be sure to share it with a friend. And we can't wait to catch you next week.